It's time.
Redesigned.
The next generation of iPhone has been designed for Apple Intelligence from the ground up.
Today, Apple launched its mixed reality headset.
Donald Trump says he's safe and well after reports of gunshots.
We are at the precipice of an incredible shift, the brink of history.
Latest development from Google that it describes as a state-of-the-art quantum computer chip.
Israel has launched multiple airstrikes on Iran in response to what the Israeli military called months of continuous attacks.
There is Sir Keir Starmer, who will become Britain's 58th Prime Minister.
This is coming from OpenAI. They just released Sora. This is the highly anticipated video generation tool.
Speaking of robots, it'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids, it can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
And welcome back. 2025 Redesigned podcast. So we're living in some different times, very, very different times. I'd even call them dystopian. As you've seen from the highlights of 2024, that's just a fraction of the stuff that's been going on. So after a long hiatus, I've decided to bring the podcast back. A little bit rusty, but we'll figure our way through things. So want to welcome you back, and we're going to be talking about all things technology, social change, digital culture, how technology is actually changing the way we live. So it's pretty dystopian times right now. Rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, the middle class is being destroyed. Technology has given us so much convenience, but you got to remember that convenience always has a price. So this episode, I'm going to be going into a few predictions for 2025. Also, just to recalibrate and let everyone know where we are in terms of the topic. So if you listen to season 2 and season 1, you'll know it's very much about social media, the nostalgia aspect of where we are and where we've come from, all the stuff that's been going on over the last 30 to 40 years in terms of technology. The 20th century was literally the beginning of the what we call the computer age or the digital age. It started, you might as well say it started in the 70s with video games, the World Wide Web. It's all sort of military technology before it becomes mainstream. So we've seen a lot this past decade. The 2020s has been wild. We've survived the pandemic. That kind of threw off the podcast as well. So much stuff's gone on. Ended up working a full-time job and returning to the world of 9 to 5. Again, that's all because the economy has changed, technology has changed, Google has changed, algorithms have changed, and that all changes how we make money, how we live, how we work. And yeah, it just seems to be a very confusing time for a lot of people. So one addition to this season, we're going to be looking more at politics as well. So politics and also socio-economic factors that are going to be affected by all this tech change that we're seeing. We're talking about blockchain, we're talking about social media, how people are leaving social media behind. A lot of people still use social media. Most people are actually addicted to social media, but there are a section of society who are waking up and deciding that, you know what, I want to kind of leave that stuff behind. I want to move on. I want to live life. So we're seeing a lot of that. So predictions for 2025. One of my predictions for 2025 is that people are going to start investing more in physical media. The cost of streaming has become ridiculous. A lot of people cut cable and TV subscription services to go over to streaming to save money because they had more choice and also more control over their spending. Streaming was a much more cost-effective solution for people who wanted an alternative to Sky or satellite TV or cable TV. Now we're seeing that we've got like 4 or 5 different streaming services we're paying for, and something really strange is going on. Nowadays you're seeing a lot of content being removed or content being edited. So music being edited, tracks being deleted, albums being deleted, movies being deleted. They're here one day, they're gone the next. So people are starting to realize that it's actually better to own the content rather than paying a subscription, because sometimes, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been paying for Netflix for the best part of 5 or 6 years, and there are months that go by, especially when it's really busy. There's months that go by where I haven't actually watched anything, but I've paid. Now imagine if you paid for the films that you actually like, the ones that you will actually watch again and again and again. Or if you had the option to have like a pay-as-you-go subscription for Netflix. I don't think they're going to do that anytime soon because the corporations are extremely greedy. But yeah, we need to be mindful of that. And like I said, a lot of people are now starting to go back to buying physical media, DVD, Blu-ray, that kind of stuff. Also CDs, a lot more people are buying CDs again. I never thought I would see that happening, but yeah, a lot of people are buying CDs. Vinyl sales are increasing a lot. They've gone up a lot over this past couple of years, and I expect more and more people to start their vinyl collection, which is quite strange, but all the same I love it because that has always been a part of my life, and it's really interesting to see people of this generation, Gen Z, buying vinyl records. That's pretty amazing. Another prediction: social media is going to change again, and it seems like people are at saturation point. They're not really following new content creators. They're not really following new accounts. They like what they like, and it's just going to stay there. Even if someone likes your content, they may not follow you. They'll watch your content and then just keep scrolling. So the subscriber and the concept of the subscriber and the follower is going to change in 2025. And it's all about creating community. Again, community has been one of those words, one of those buzzwords in 2024. I actually believe that people are going to look for more offline community experiences rather than spending so much time online scrolling and stuff like that. I also think it's going to be a strange time for podcasts in general. I think a lot of people are going to narrow down their podcast diet. Podcasts really took off in 2017, 2018, and then from the pandemic around 2020, they sort of peaked. Video podcasts became really popular. And I think now we are heading towards saturation point where people are going to start to rethink what they're listening and watching, what they're listening to and what they're watching. And it's going to be an interesting time for content creators coming up with new ideas. So 2025, I think we're going to see a lot of new ideas thrown out there, and it's going to be an interesting time. Who is going to break the mold? Who's going to do something different in 2025? I don't know. But it'll definitely be an interesting time because we've had all the same stuff going on, you know, relationships, pop the balloon. So Apple Vision Pro with their ridiculous price tag of like $3.5K. Yeah, that was definitely a flop from Apple. The first major product release since 2014 when they brought out I think it was the Apple Watch. It might have been the Apple Watch. Yeah, it's really a big deal. However, I think it's opened the floodgates up for people to consider how important mixed reality, augmented reality, and sort of wearable devices is gonna take us. And could this be the transition towards not using mobile phones? There are a couple of people that have got some theories on this, that we are eventually moving away from smartphones. I think it's going to take a while yet. I still think we still have another 5 to 10 years where we still have the same sort of behavior. But who knows? Another prediction for 2025. We heard a lot about AI in 2024, and I think that AI is going to be even more prevalent in terms of content. You can see way more AI generated content, but what's going to separate the good stuff from the crap stuff is people's ability to be creative with it and use it within the context of their own original content rather than 100% AI content. That's what we're going to see a lot more of, I think. In terms of security and safety, peace in the world, it's not looking good. The whole thing with Ukraine, Russia, the Middle East, it's not looking too good. And it just looks like UK politics is in a mess as well right now. Global politics looks like it's in a mess. Let's see what happens with the inauguration of Donald Trump. Let's see what happens this year in terms of the dialogue between Ukraine and Russia. Let's see what happens in the Middle East. It's definitely affecting the mood, the general mood of the world. It does feel very dystopian, like there's kind of like no hope. Christmas was really a good example. People just generally don't feel the same anymore, the same level of excitement and happiness and hope. Same thing with New Year's Eve. A lot of people just stayed indoors. They don't have as much disposable income. There's no money. People just generally feel, people just generally feel sad. And a lot of people are realizing that we're spending so much time at work. And when we're not at work, we're just kind of like doom scrolling. And I think we need to find pockets of enjoyment and find a way to kind of live the way we used to before all of this technology. And that's probably why you're seeing a lot more of people just embracing the nostalgia of the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, pre-internet times. You're seeing a lot more of that. Hence why, as I mentioned before, Gen Z embracing old technology, embracing that retro vinyl CD era of music as opposed to streaming. Streaming is just so throwaway when it comes to music and content. So we don't really respect the content. We don't respect the art the way we used to when we used to go shopping for CDs, albums, movies, all that kind of stuff. We're definitely longing for a simpler time. And that's what this podcast is all about. So that's the nostalgia aspect of it. That's why I included it, because you don't want it to all be like doom and gloom. So there's that reference to the happier times and what could be. And to be fair, it didn't really need to change, but life doesn't stay the same. But there are some things about the technology that we're using today that's kind of moved us away from those happier times and broken down the concept of friendship, family, communication, community. We've gained one thing, but we've lost a lot of other things as well. So definitely something to think about. We got to keep an eye on Elon Musk as well. Last year he basically destroyed Twitter. Yeah, we got to keep an eye on this guy. Whether you love him or hate him, I think he's definitely going to affect the way we live in the next 5-10 years. We've got Starlink, which is basically Skynet. If you've ever watched Terminator, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about Skynet. He's planned to introduce humanoid robots that will basically do all your chores for you, all the stuff that you don't want to do. He says they can mow the lawn, look after the kids, do your cooking, do the chores that you don't want to do. If you've ever seen a program called Humans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you should definitely check it out. It's on Netflix, and I think it's owned by Channel 4. So if you don't have the Channel 4 app, go grab that and watch that as well. And there's also another thing called Subservient. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I definitely plan to watch that in the next week or so, and that's on Netflix. The concept, it's like they're trying to get us ready for the concept of humanoid robots. And I think those are the plans that they have for us in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's gonna be an interesting year for sure. It's gonna be an interesting year for sure in terms of social media, content, how people are embracing social media. Are they moving away from it? Are they changing their habits? That remains to be seen. So yeah, a lot of different things to think about for this year. Oh yeah, CES is going to be next week, so I'm going to try and do a breakdown of what's going on at CES Las Vegas. All the latest consumer electronic technology is going to be up there, all the new stuff that we should be looking forward to 2025. So I'm going to give you a breakdown on that. So watch this space. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do that. Check out the video on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, there is a video version of the podcast, so make sure you check it out. So the podcast will be out every Wednesday, so make sure you check back for that. Gonna try and improve it every week. Like I said before, I'm proper rusty, so don't take this as the final product. This is not the final product. We're gonna get better and better and better, and obviously taking your feedback, improve the podcast. I'm gonna probably record it in different locations as well from time to time, so yeah, just to keep it fresh. But anyway, hope you have a fantastic new year, a prosperous new year, and yeah, catch you in the next episode.